Hello, this is Tim Campbell with Action Coach Business Coaching with my Survive and Thrive Business Spotlight series. The purpose is to interview local business owners to promote them through my social channels and email database. This is a free service I'm providing to support local businesses because if we save every business, we save the economy. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Jon Gilman. Welcome, Jon. It's great to have you on the program today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself and as well as your business?
Sure. So I was a Purdue engineer obsessed with productivity. So when I left Purdue, I went to Accenture and then I worked at Deloitte as well, implementing ERP systems and business software, Fortune 500 companies. And the number one thing I saw is that productivity was actually decreasing once organizations implemented these software packages. And it'd be one thing if that was the anomaly and I saw it once in a while, but it was happening everywhere I went. Anytime we would implement a big giant ERP system, our customers would have to increase headcount in their call center, in their IT department, in AP and AR. So a lot of times a CFO or a COO or whoever was sponsoring the initiative would say to me, hey man, we just spent $500 million implementing this system over 4 or 5 years and our OpEx has gone up. The exact opposite was supposed to happen. We were promised that our OpEx was going to go down. So I saw an opportunity, being, again, obsessed with productivity, to create an automation platform that fulfilled that original promise of getting on a system of record, but then also being able to work quickly through business processes without having to jump between screens and between systems, so that original promise could be fulfilled. So we're all about accelerating people in what they do, whether it's in sales, finance, purchasing, production, whatever you might be doing within your organization. We're going to make you faster at it.
Fantastic. And Jon, how long have you been in business for yourself?
We started in 2012, more as a part-time gig while I was still in the consulting world. And then 2015, Clear became kind of a full-time job.
Fantastic. So tell me, who do you serve? Really, who's your best customer or client? We call that a target audience.
Our sweet spot's usually a medium-sized enterprise. So, it's someone who's probably 500 million a year to 5 billion a year in revenue. That's got a medium-sized IT staff, but maybe not necessarily the expertise to connect systems like SAP and Salesforce together, for example. So we can come in with our no-code platform to allow them to integrate those systems without having to hire a busload of consultants. Fantastic.
And what has been the greatest impact that COVID's had on your business during this crazy time?
From a sales perspective, has actually increased our pipeline quite a bit because a lot of organizations were viewing digital transformation and the move to the cloud as nice to have. Now it's a must have. You've got employees that need to work from home, call center agents that need to be able to handle calls from their house. You need a platform like ours to cloud enable your on-premise system. So we've seen a huge surge in demand. And then just from a client delivery perspective, nothing has really changed. Our clients are all over the world. So we were already using Zoom quite a bit prior to COVID to interact with our customers. And that hasn't changed. In fact, it's been nice on us because, we can spend more time with our families and not have to travel to far off distant places.
Sure. Yeah. Fantastic. So what are 1 or 2 actions that you've taken specifically to make a difference during this time, and how those have been working for you?
I think for our employees, one is that we've made a decision to make it optional to come back to work. So essentially forever, if our developers want to work from home or our marketing team wants to work from home, they can do that, which obviously impacts our real estate needs in the future. We have a lot less need for a giant 20,000 square foot office. But one of the things we noticed halfway through COVID too is that our team was working too much, like actually more than they did prior to COVID. So they'd not have a commute anymore. So you get up at 7 a.m. and they would just start working. And it was starting to burn some of them out. So we kind of came up with a bit of a unofficial employee handbook that said, look, don't work the weekends, don't work at night, take breaks during the day, go out of your house for lunch or take a walk, or do something to recharge yourself mentally so that you're not getting burned out. Because I think people had a tough time adjusting to working from home every day. It's hard to get used to that initially.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. So here's an interesting question. It's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So Jon, what mistakes did you make along the way, and how can other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
I've made a ton of mistakes, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs do too. But a lot of mine come from impatience and being, I'm originally from the East Coast. It's like impatience is in your DNA if you're from the Northeast. So I think some of the rushes to judgment I made early on to make certain hires. Ended up hurting us in the long run because we ended up having to, either replace those folks with someone else. And, it's a very time consuming process to interview and hire and do that whole process over again. So I think being patient and not taking the first candidate that comes along for your position and making sure that they fit with your team's culture, that they're going to be in it for the long haul, that's really important. So, you can waste a lot of time and energy on bad hires. Yeah. So that's a big one, and I also think, I've seen other entrepreneurs make this mistake, which is don't raise money too early. Make sure you have a functioning product and a customer that actually wants it, even if it's just as simple as, here's a letter of intent that says I'm going to use this software if it makes it out of beta into an MVP. You've got to have that lined up, because raising money when it's a theory means you're going to lose half your company pretty quickly and you don't even know if it's going to be successful. So I would say try to bootstrap it as long as you possibly can until you absolutely need to raise money, because as one of our partners, Pegasystems founder Alan Treffler likes to say, is like, as soon as you take on outside capital, you're working on somebody else's clock. And you really don't want to be working on somebody else's clock.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Your insight on the hiring, I hear that a lot. And a lot of folks jump into your point of, hey, let's look for somebody who has the right skills and experience. And those end up being people who are really just looking to work for a paycheck versus, like you said, is let's look for people who are aligned to our culture, right? They're aligned to our vision, and we really believe that they fit within our values and our beliefs. And those people end up becoming long-term employees who are working for you for the right reasons, as opposed to just a paycheck. So appreciate you sharing that insight.
Yeah, I think, if it's going to take you 6 months to find your right head of sales or your right head of marketing, then you just got to wait 6 months. You can't take somebody who's excited to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So second last question here. I'm going to get your contact information and a little bit more about your company to include in my social post and in my email next week. Is there anything else that listeners should know, or any special offers or anything like that you have for folks?
I would just say, where we thrive and to help people understand what needs we serve is if you're a large enterprise and you're running, many different systems and you've got thousands of people doing processes hundreds of times a day and millions of times a year, we're really focused on harmonizing those systems, getting people to do their jobs more quickly so that they don't have to trudge through 14 systems and 23 screens to get their job done. So that's where we fit. So if anyone in the audience fits those criteria, give us a shout.
Fantastic. I say a lot often, the ideal is to systematize the routine. And so it sounds like that's exactly the benefit that you provide. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. Make the process run consistently the same way, put automation on top of it, and then, you spend less time doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Jon, last question here. Tell me, what is most inspiring to you in today's crazy environment?
What I've really been impressed with is the way business leaders and local, heads of government have really stood up together and bonded in a way that I haven't seen in any other crisis. You see CEOs and governors working together to get things done. I think that's really cool. That's really inspiring, because that hadn't happened before. And it's just good to know that folks are stepping outside their comfort zone and saying, hey, we have a platform here. We have a large organization that reaches hundreds of thousands of people, we can use that for good as an agent of change. And we've seen that with with Mark Benioff from Salesforce and a lot of these leaders that honestly almost have a cult following. They can inspire a lot of great positive change. So that's something that's been pretty cool over the last few years.
Fantastic. Well, Jon, that concludes the interview. Thank you so much for your time. I'd like to offer to yourself as well as all listeners opportunity to take advantage of a complimentary coaching session that I provide. Again, another way to just help give back to the community and help make a difference during this crazy time. Some folks, have gotten a little overwhelmed by things that are going on. So this is just a good way to think about your business differently, think of ways to pivot. And I'll include that information in this post when I put it out there later today. Jon, appreciate your time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know a little bit more about yourself and your business.
Likewise. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Take care.